Hi guys, welcome back to my shop. In this video we're going to compare between these two chuck systems. Over here we have the Nova G3, a chuck I've been using for the past 3 years, while here we have the Charnwood Viper 3 chuck system, which I purchased in last year's UKIWS 2017. And I've been using this for a few projects lately, and I think I've used it enough to have a few ideas and impressions about the quality of this chuck. In this chuck I'm using an adapter for my 1 inch by 8 TPI thread on my spindle, and the same goes for this chuck. I'm using the same, well, it's not the same adapter, it's an adapter that came with this chuck, so, but it is for the same size. For the basic comparison of sizes, I have mounted both chucks with the standard jaws, and just to gather a few numbers, the Nova chuck at a minimum expansion 5.2 centimeters. The Charnwood chuck at a minimum expansion, it can hold 5.5 centimeters or 2 inches and 3/8. So this is much smaller. Obviously the size of the lip itself is very different. It's 4.5 millimeters, or we're talking about 3/8 on 3/16 on the Nova, and the lip on this Charnwood is quite thick. It's more like 6.5 millimeters, or I can see it's 5/16. The Charnwood chuck is a little bit wider. Let's see if I can get a decent measurement. It is about 9 centimeters and a half, a little bit more, 9.6 centimeters. You're gonna have to forgive me if I'm not switching everything, if I'm not translating everything to inches. I'm gonna have the inches displayed on the screen. And if we're talking about the width of the Nova, we're talking about exactly 8 centimeters and 9 millimeters, so almost 9 centimeters. This chuck is obviously a little bit wider, and you can plainly see this with your naked eye. For both of these chucks I need an adapter for my own spindle width, which is 1 inch over 8 TPI. The only problem is that while in this chuck, in the Nova chuck, there is a small set screw that sets the insert inside the chuck, on the Viper 3, the Charnwood chuck, there is absolutely nothing that holds the insert, which means that every time that I try to take the chuck off my lathe, I have to use 2 tools, because it will simply thread itself off from the chuck and the insert will remain on the lathe. It's quite annoying, but you know, it's not something that is going to really change the way we work. It just means that you need an extra tool to take this off the lathe if you want to do it properly. So let's see a little bit how large these can expand with the jaws themselves, with the classic standard jaws, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the accessories. Okay, so we have these 2 chucks here in expansion, and as you can see, obviously the Charnwood chuck offers a wider range. If the Nova G3 can expand on the inside diameter up to 6 centimeters and 4 millimeters, you can see that I have a full 0.5 centimeter more. It's exactly 7 centimeters with the Charnwood Viper 3. The G3 chuck that I bought 3 years ago came with the key, and it came with the woodworm screw. As you can see, that fits inside here, it nestles inside, and it works perfectly well, and I've used it on many projects. You can check some of them on my channel, and it works perfectly well. And here is one of the problems that I had with the Charnwood chuck, because it also comes with this woodworm screw, only I had a problem with the chuck, because every time that I tried to fit this inside here, it didn't fit, it didn't close well, it didn't hold the screw at all, the screw was very loose, and I had to investigate. So let me take this apart and I'll show you what the problem was. Okay, so initially when I bought this chuck, it came with a different set of carriers. These are the carriers for the jaws themselves, where they connect with the screws. So the original jaws or the original carriers that came with the chuck were these. And as you can see, these are a little bit filed off, while the original that came with the chuck are pointy. So when the carrier would close, they supposed to grab onto this part here. Okay, grab to on this part here, but since they were all pointy, it didn't allow for everything to close up properly over this part, so it remained loose. So I didn't know that at the beginning, and I tried many things, and eventually I contacted Charnwood customer support, and we came to the conclusion that I was sold this chuck with the original carriers instead of the modified carriers. So that was absolutely perfect, absolutely no problem. They sent me a new set of carriers, which I'm using on the chuck at the moment. Only the problem was that they sent me a double tooth instead of a different tooth. So they sent me the 1, the 2, the 3, and another 3 or another 2. It was one of those. Instead of 4 different carriers, and it's important because each carrier has a different track at the back, so the chuck wasn't able to close properly with the different teeth. So I contacted the Charnwood customer support again, explained them the problem that they sent me the wrong teeth, and they said absolutely no problem, and they shipped me again a different tooth to replace the missing one. Only the problem was that they sent me the wrong tooth again. So now I have 3 tooth of the same number, and I was still missing the original number 1 tooth. I think it was the number 1. So at that point I told them, okay, listen guys, this doesn't work, and I'll just file away the tooth myself and give it this little indent, which I did. They didn't contact me anymore after that, after I told them to just leave it and that I'll do it myself. They didn't send me any email saying okay, or we're sorry, or anything. They just ignored me from that point on. So a little bit I have to say that the customer support were really responsive at the beginning, and they sent me those 2 replacements very quickly. The only problem was that they sent me the wrong parts, so a little bit of an annoyance over there, but obviously it is solved. So what did I get with my Viper 3 chuck? I received an extra jaws, standard jaws, but they are serrated on the inside as opposed to these jaws that are not serrated. I received a faceplate, which is very nice. I should probably keep it a little bit cleaner. So that's a faceplate that would, obviously you would screw to your piece of wood, and then you can grab it in expansion in your jaws like so. I received these pincer jaws, and those are serrated, so you can use them for small turnings. If you've seen some of my last project, I use these especially for small thin finials, and then you can also use them in expansion, and they are serrated outside. These large cup jaws are very nice. I have to say that so far I didn't find a project to use those on, but I know of a few projects that I did before that I really wished I had one of these to grab something a little bit larger than I normally do. And those are also serrated, so you will know you are grabbing really well. It's serrated outside and on the inside, so either in expansion or in compression. I also received this drive center. As you can see, I'll bring it here so you can see it better, and it's very nice because you can actually change the tip here to different tools. You can use this screw with it. I can only imagine that this would be very good if you're turning bottle stoppers, so might be good for those. And you can also have a flat, completely flat tip for driving whatever, I wouldn't know. The key that came obviously to open and close the chuck itself, and a small Allen key to open and close the bolts. Allen set screw. There's an Allen key and an Allen set screw, so to open and close that one. And of course it comes with this handy key to open and close the bolts on the chuck. So a lot of goodies, and I think that for the price that I paid for this set, and the price was £159 for the entire set, and I had to pay £10 extra for the insert. I think that for this price, this is a really good set. You have a lot of tools that come with, a lot of accessories that come with, that didn't came with my Nova G chuck. I think you will be hard pressed to find any better system for that price. So if you're working on a budget, this would be a good choice. Again, it's not the highest quality chuck, it's not the highest quality materials, it's not the highest quality of anything, but for the price that you will pay, you will get a lot of accessories, and they're all working and they're all good. If you're a good turner, you can use these tools and produce really nice results. So now at the end of our video, my conclusion is that the Nova G3 chuck is a wonderful chuck. I've been using it for years and I'm going to keep using it for years. The Viper 3 chuck is very nice as well. It's not the highest quality, but you do get a lot of accessories for the same price that you would pay for the Nova G3, which comes with very little accessories, this and this. Would I recommend it? I will, if you're turning on a budget. If you can afford better tools, I would go with a better chuck system. As far as the customer support for the Charnwood, I have to say that I was a little bit disappointed about being sent the wrong part twice, and for the fact that I was sold the chuck initially with the wrong parts that wouldn't let me fit the screw inside the jaws. Although I never checked it myself, Charnwood claims that all of their jaws and accessories will fit the Nova G3 chuck, but they're saying you're going to need larger or longer bolts than the bolts they are supplying. I don't know if these normal bolts for the Nova will work with these, or I have to get even longer bolts because I think all their accessories are a little bit thicker and heavier. I want to thank you for joining me in this review video, and I hope to see you back in my shop really soon.